The Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race finish line lies 22 miles away from safety, and a section of those miles are about all that's separating Norwegian Thomas Waerner from his first Iditarod title. He is first to arrive to and first to leave the safety checkpoint, spending just 4 minutes there. All of this after he continued his charge of the Bering Sea coast earlier today, also leading into the White Mountain checkpoint when he pulled in there at 5:35 this morning. Channel 2's Patrick Enslow joins us from Nome with a look at how Waerner put himself in position to win the 48th running of the Iditarod.
Beth, we expect a champion under that burled arch within hours. And for Thomas Waerner, this has been a dream to win this race since childhood, growing up in Norway, where he read about Iditarod icons like Susan Butcher and Martin Boozer. And now he hopes to join them in the record books.
There goes Thomas Waerner from Torpa, Norway.
For the first time since 2015, his only previous Iditarod run, Norwegian musher Thomas Waerner signed up to race the Iditarod, and he had a goal.
And my goal for this year actually was to be competitive. That was that was my main goal with this race.
It was a sleepless start to the race for the 46-year-old musher.
I didn't rest much at the beginning. The first 2 days are at 50 minutes. That's not much.
At the Rainy Pass checkpoint, Waerner started to feel at home.
This is like the Finnmark race. Sometimes you get races like that, you know, sugar snow, I call it.
Teammates Khan and King, a father and son dog duo, helped Waerner power through a deep and difficult trail.
Dogs are really fun to drive because they have so much energy.
A trail that would begin to favor Waerner as teams headed to the Bering Sea coast.
Well, I think if you want to win, you have to take some chances. Maybe it pays off, maybe it doesn't. You know, that's the part of the game.
He was the first to arrive at the Unalakleet checkpoint 5 hours before his closest competitor.
I would like to stay ahead, you know, and as I actually can stay ahead without them seeing me, that's kind of, that's really nice.
Waerner would blitz up the coast with confidence and a large lead.
But this is luxury that I can rest so much.
At the Koyak checkpoint, the reality of this year's race began to sink in for mushers still chasing Waerner in the final day of the race.
Something would have to go wrong for him. We're not catching Thomas.
Heading to Nome with the lead, Waerner has a chance to turn his childhood dream into a reality. If Waerner is able to pull this off, he will join your life, Seth Olsson and Robert Storley, as the only Norwegian mushers to win the famed Iditarod. Beth?
Thank you, Patrick. And this is your official Iditarod leaderboard according to online race standings. Waerner out of safety at 9:17 tonight. Three-time champion Mitch Stevie remains in second, and Jesse Royer is in third. Both of them leaving White Mountain earlier this evening and on their ways to the penultimate checkpoint. Brent Sass is in fourth, Aaron Burmeister in fifth. They too have departed according to GPS trackers, but this is indeed what the online leaderboard says as of 9:51 tonight. All teams do have to take a mandatory rest at White Mountain. Your next five remain the same as the last time we checked in with you. 2018 champion Your Life Seth Olsson is in sixth, though that 8-hour mark is right about now. Paige Drovny is in seventh. They've both arrived to White Mountain. Ryan Reddington, Wade Mars, and Travis Beals are already there as well, along with 5 others, including defending champion Pete Kaiser and Mila Porsid, who's in position for Rookie of the Year honors. Veteran Nick Petit was on his way to White Mountain, but has returned to Elam and appears to still be resting there. But this is the in-depth GPS tracker you can access as an Iditarod Insider subscriber at Iditarod.com. There are smatterings of small packs scattered across the trail as far back as the Kaltag area. In case you didn't know, Norwegians are no strangers to this great race, with more than a few already marking Iditarod record books. And for the second time in 3 years, a Norwegian musher is poised to win the whole thing. Our special correspondent, Didi Janro, is in Nome right now and shares more about the international elements of this great competition. Didi?
Well, it's kind of exciting to see, and this will be the third Norwegian that will be a champion in the International Iditarod Sled Dog Race. Not only that, but Thomas was Rookie of the Year when he ran. Yor was Rookie of the Year the first year he ran. And it looks like we have a Danish musher, Mila Porset that's going to also be the Rookie of the Year. So we're seeing quite a bit of international Scandinavian flavor here, and it's exciting to see that this event has exposed itself and is competitive all over the world. And you have to say, we sent our champions also over to Norway, and Dallas made quite a splash when he raced over in the Norwegian races. So it's exciting to have the World Series, to have the Norwegian component, and to have, perhaps tonight, another Norwegian champion.
And let's turn now to those who will not cross the finish line in Iditarod. 4811 racers have scratched thus far in this race. Most recently, Anna and Christy Barrington, who exited after a death in their family. That's along with Aaron Peck, Richie Deal, and Larry Doherty, all of them departing at the Unalakleet checkpoint, with the exception of Doherty, who was in Caltag. Linwood Fiedler and rookie Martin Massacati scratching at the Galena checkpoint, while Nils Hahn and Alan Eichens ended their races in McGrath. Jim Lanier went home from Rainy Pass. One of the headline-grabbing mushers in that category who also scratched is Jeremy Keller. He mushed his way from Nikolai back to Willow over the past few days.
My gut told me in Nikolai, I was absolutely sure that I was not going forward to McGrath. So I had only two options left. I could either scratch, the technical scratch, which is you call in an airplane and you tuck your tail and you go home, or I could run home. And being in Nikolai was the perfect place to do that from.
Keller arrived at home yesterday evening around 7:30. He'd initially scratched from the Nikolai checkpoint last Thursday, citing concerns over the new coronavirus. But he had a fascinating experience out on the trail, and you can read his full story at ktuu.com. And amid worry over that virus potentially spreading, an Iditarod checkpoint in a remote village of Shektulik, mile 754 of this race, was moved. This was at the request of residents there who also helped put a new checkpoint together for mushers. You can see some of them getting ready for the big arrivals, helping out with the tons of gear and food and whatnot that was meant to be waiting for mushers and their dog teams. The new checkpoint in Old Shektulik, about 2 miles out of town. Around 30 racers have made it there thus far, according to Tracker. You guys got it. And when mushers ride into Nome this year, it's going to be a different scene than in years past because of precautions taken to slow the spread of that virus. The Iditarod CEO says that race officials have communicated to mushers that when they arrive in Nome, there will only be personnel who are essential to care for the dogs and organization of the race.
We've been in constant communication with the city, with the public health officials. We've essentially got our crew down to bare bones minimum, just the absolute people that are essential to produce a safe race. So that means veterinarians, logistical and communications people. So unfortunately for the sponsors aren't here, the media isn't here, and the crowds will not be here. But we're a sport that by nature is the embodiment of social distancing. It just won't have quite the crowds we've had in the past, but we're still having an absolutely great race.
Nearly all the normal events surrounding the Iditarod finish in Nome have been canceled. Officials still urging people other than essential personnel not to come out for the finish. The musher meet and greet and awards banquet also postponed indefinitely. And we also know tonight that the Kobuk 440, a race in which many Iditarod mushers have participated, is canceled this year. That's due to public health concerns as well, according to the race Facebook page. So deep breath. Because on a much brighter note, a winner in the 48th running of the Iditarod will be crowned overnight tonight, perhaps even within the next couple of hours. Thomas Waerner's speed and distance he has to travel puts him at around a 12:30 arrival, so do look out for that. We hope you'll join us and our Iditarod Insider comrades for the live finish, which will be streaming at ktuu.com and on our Facebook page. We'll see you tonight.
Play Iditarod I Spy. Enter today's keyword at ktuu.com for a chance to win.